It's the early days of Street Fighter 6, so most of us don't know how to play the game right now. You might struggle grasping the drive system, don't know how to pilot the character you want to play, don't know what the combos are, or how to place them in a match. So, you're scrolling on YouTube, and you click on one of these videos that got recommended to you, and try to learn from your favorite pro player. But, how do you learn from watching the pros? Fighting games are complex, Street Fighter's no exception. And there are many, many ways to improve in a fighting game, and I think watching high-level players is a very valid tool. Let me teach you a solid process to get the most of watching these replays. My name's Gil, and if you end up learning something from this video, consider liking, subscribing, or leaving a comment. It all helps. Now, let's check out some replays and do some learning. Of course, you can find many high-level replays on YouTube because there are a whole bunch of channels uploading these replays all day long. But my personal preference, for a number of reasons, is to find these replays in the game itself. And for those that are already familiar with this, feel free to skip ahead to the next timestamp. But for those who don't know, hang on tight. So the main reason I like to pull out replays from the game itself is because it gives you the in-game frame data counter, and also, you know, maybe you don't want to support quote-unquote content vultures, but, you know, that's entirely up to you. So you navigate to CFN, which is Capcom Fighting Network, and here you can find all sorts of players, you can find clubs, you can check out the rankings, and also you can find replays here. So I usually navigate to rankings because I want to find the most high-level footage. Make sure you go, if it hasn't defaulted to all, let's just assume it's the default settings, and here you'll see simply the highest ranked players, not filtered by region, not filtered by character, and this is already like a solid place to look. You can like start scrolling down and stuff. But to expedite the process, let's say we want to learn a specific character, and for me, I am mainly Manon, but this, of course, works for any character. So the main thing is I swap the character filter to specified character, and I go to Manon, and here we go. Just give it a moment, and oh damn, that's me, Silver Manon. I did my placement matches too early, trust me. So here you can see the highest ranked Manon players, and you just go to any of their profiles. I'm a huge Idom fan, and I already pulled some replays the other day that we're gonna have a look at soon. But you can see view fighter profile, and then go to history, and here you'll find all of their matches. Well, recent matches. I don't know how many it keeps track of, but it keeps track of a whole bunch of them. You can see who wins, you can see who loses. One of my main recommendations for you to pick replays are replays of matches that are that look pretty close. If you see a match that is like 2-0, perfect, you know, there's still going to be stuff you can learn from that, of course, from a sweep. But I prefer to watch games that are close, and you can really see how your player that you're studying handles different tense situations and that sort of stuff. So, you know, you just look here, find a replay you like. It's like, oh, here we go. Idom won 2-1, and we can just add it to the replay list. This one right here. And then you can do this for any player for a whole bunch of replays, and then you just go back, you go to replays, and here you'll see your entire replay list of replays that you've saved. And here you can see this, the recently saved replay that I just pulled from Idom's character profile, from his Capcom Fighting Network profile. When I decide to watch a replay, I make sure I make up my mind before I watch on what I want to learn, what I want to get better at, because in any average fighting game match, both players make hundreds or thousands of different decisions. So I think it's important to try to be as specific as possible in what sort of lessons you want to learn. And for me, I like to simply divide my perspective into either one of these two groups. I either call it the offense perspective, or I call it the defense perspective, or the as perspective, or the against perspective. For, offense or the as perspective, I like to look how they pilot the character that I want to play. And then for defense, I like to see how do they defend against the character that I struggle with. And, you know, for offense, I like to look at what moves do they use? What moves do they not use? Their preferred spacing. How do they spend their drive? Do they spend it a lot in combos? Do they use it for Oki situations? Are they very happy with drive reversals? I try to pay attention to those sort of things. Of course, watching their replays, it's also a good opportunity to see what combos they do, what is their basic Oki flowchart. So all that sort of stuff I put under the offense tree. And then for the defense perspective of this, I like to look at what sort of counterplay that they employ against the problem character. How do they deal with specific moves? You know, for example, a lot of people are struggling with Honda butt slam or headbutt. Then I also actually like to see what kind of moves does my player abuse against this matchup. The game's still pretty new, so I don't know everything, of course. But for example, in the Manon matchup, she has this half-screen overhead that is -9 on block. And for most characters, she can abuse it pretty decently because they can't punish it because of the range that it leaves Manon at on block. But then for some characters, they can actually reach with something that goes far enough to punish that -9. So against some characters, you can abuse that overhead more. Against some others, you don't. And then, of course, you know, translate that to whatever character you're learning. And it's basically with either one of those perspectives do I try to learn from a replay. And I think the more specific you can get in what kind of lessons you want to learn, the better. I have this particular replay queued up. It is Idom as Manon versus Knuckledew as Guile, because I personally struggled pretty hard in this matchup. And for this replay, we're going to have a look at this through the offense perspective. I want to see how Idom approaches the neutral, how he tries to get past the fireball game, and then if he gets past the fireball game, I want to see how does he keep pressure going and that sort of stuff, and I want to see what kind of combos he does, but primarily I want to see how he deals with the fireball defense. And then while this is loading up, let me tell you about the frame data you have access to and the button input display you have access to. It isn't paramount for you to use those. It's just extra info that gives you extra information, extra context. But again, if it's too overwhelming to see all of the numbers and seeing all of the inputs on the screen, just turn them off. We all learn differently. I personally like to keep them on because, as I said before, it gives you extra context for decisions that are being made. So here we go. Wow, he immediately starts very greedy trying to get a command grab. But he's already at a big drive deficit. Speaking of drive deficit, let's see. You can go back a couple scenes. So here we go. He goes for a lot of parries because if you parry, you get more meter. And we don't know for sure, of course, if that's why he went for it. But to me, that seems why he went for the parries, is you get a lot of meter back. Let's go back again. And you'll see he's already at less than 3 bars. 3 seconds in. And here we go. Got a whole bar back. Ooh. Big command grab whiff. He's kind of lucky that he didn't get a bigger punish on him. I'm just trying to pay attention. How does he approach Guile? Here Guile does upside down kicks, which is -8 on block. So what does he do after that? He goes straight for the command grab. Makes a lot of sense. Guile has to eat a mix-up when he's -8, or he has to flash kick, which is a big gamble. So that makes sense why he went for a command grab. Guile's backing up, anti-airing. Oh, that's a big decision that Idom made there. So he went for ballerina kick because it can go... ballerina spin because it can go through fireballs. I don't think he can do it on reactions, mainly a read, and unfortunately it didn't work out. But you can see him, he's really trying to make it past those fireballs. Solid trade. More parries. Oh, okay. It's not looking too good at this moment. Oh, he gets Oki. He gets pressure, I mean. Well, same thing, I guess. And let's go back. How did that happen? So... maybe went back a bit too much. There we go. So he does the target combo that pulls people in, and then he has pressure and he goes for a basic grab. Usually, well, for Manon, I'm not sure for the entire cast, the basic grab gives you better Oki than the command grab, and he got to put him in the corner because of it too. And then right after that, wow, a lot of stuff is happening. As you can see, it's very important to go back because multiple choices get made every single second by both players. So he gets the knockdown from the throw, immediately goes in with a drive rush normal. There we go, wanted to bait him, and he went for a huge punish counter. Spend some meter, damage, gets a medal, boom. And then in that particular situation, if you go for that combo ender, it sets up your opponent at the perfect spacing where Manon gets to do the overhead special. So he's 1 round up and he has 3 medals in this matchup. Just parrying through the fireballs, he doesn't care. Oh, punish counter. Upside down kick again. But this time, Idom didn't go for a command grab because Guile, right here, Knuckle-Do, he went for a max-spaced upside-down kick, and look at that distance. There isn't a whole bunch that Manon can do at that distance, so that's why he didn't go for a command grab. But in the situation the first round, the distance was a lot closer. Taking it a lot more patient. Oh, he's getting pressured by Mr. Guile. Went for EX command grab, good speed, good range. Went for another command grab, and he's getting punished for huge. But that's just the life of a command grabber. Again, he was second time he used meter to try to break through Guile's fireballs, and it didn't work out, but he didn't get punished big time. They're both burnt out, so the decision making might be very different right now. Nothing really worked for Idom there. The call-outs he made just didn't work out. The jumps. Knuckle-Do really had a good amount of control there. But Idom is sitting on 4 medals. He's very patient with the parries. He just gains meter out of it. Now it's his turn. Let's go back to that momentum swap. So Knuckle-Do is gonna try to start his own offense here with a drive rush. See it very soon. There you go. And then he jabs a little bit, loses his plus frames, and as soon as that happens, Idom presses a button into drive rush and basically putting Knuckle-Do into a mix-up at this point. Staggered the jabs, and that allowed him to get a command grab in. Boom. 5 medals. Oh. I think this is important to look at, this situation right here. Because Manon is super privileged when it comes to anti-airs, but you still need to place them. You still need to pick the right anti-air and the right distances. And here, Idom went for the OD up kicks, I guess. But do you see? Also look at those butt cheeks. But that has nothing to do with what we're actually trying to do here. You can see that unfortunately it just wasn't the right angle. And Knuckle-Do ends up behind him. Swap sides. There we go. Now the command grabs are very, very scary. And he uses a lot of drive rush to keep the pressure up, which makes a lot of sense. You want to take every opportunity you have to put the pressure on Guile. Spends a lot of meter. And Idom's probably going to end up with more HP still, but also burnt out. But Idom only needs to land 1 command grab or 1 jump in. There you go. Gets a basic jump in, gets the knockdown, and then, as I mentioned earlier, A lot of Manon's knockdowns allow her to set up the perfect range for her overhead. And after a replay, I encourage you to write some stuff down. For me, my main takeaways for how Idom approached this matchup. I think he's an incredibly patient player, but you could see him like burning a lot of meter, trying to break past the fireballs with the ballerina spin, going for a lot of drive rush normals on Oki. And you kind of saw him like playing this medium range-ish game, try to jump in and really just like not letting Guile be comfortable. Now let's have a look at another replay, but we're gonna have a look at 801 Strider's Manon. He's an incredibly skilled player, was probably the best able player on the planet during Street Fighter 4, and he's playing against a Geef right here. And it's a weird matchup. It's grappler versus grappler, and I just want to see how Strider right here deals with Geef's approach. How does he keep him out? Because the way I see the matchup, it's, even though you guys are both grapplers, Manon probably still wants to play a ranged game against Geef, because I think she more than likely has better buttons. But again, we might be wrong. So I'm mainly trying to see for this one, we're going to have a look at this through our defensive lens. And I just want to see how Strider keeps Dr. Danny Pham, the Zangief player, away from him. If he does that at all. Who knows? It's our favorite Chad. I love that outfit. I need to get that outfit. Okay. Starts off with a basic low. Wow, alright. That's a statement. That's a statement. Alright, let's look at that. So, immediately is the first one throw out a button. Makes sense. You don't want to let Geef approach you for free. And it looks like Danny Pham is going for a string, and maybe he didn't react on time or just couldn't cancel. Boom, big damage. Spends meter, and he gets Geef into the corner. What does he do now? Boom. We're 14 seconds in, and he has 3 medals, probably placing his command grabs on even ground with Geef at this point, or maybe a bit better. I'm not sure about the exact Geef command grab values. But this is great. He has him in the corner. He has a life lead, so maybe he wants to like keep playing away, but it looks like Strider just wants to go for the kill. He wants to not let Zangief start his offense. Lets him out of the corner. Oh! Misses a command grab, and he was on top of punishing that. Very strong round. Seemed like he was very proactive with his buttons right there. He's a bit more slower paced here, throwing out some long-range buttons, and it's just not working out. It's not the right timing. Oh, there he has the right timing. Let's look at that. So he gets thrown into the corner. And then he very much does not want to be in the corner, so he drive rushes out of it. Boom, he's level 5. Goes for relatively risky Oki, because this is Manon's standing hard kick, which hits people on wake up, or they have to block on wake up. The unfortunate thing is it's loses to drive impact very hard, but it's just kind of like a gamble you have to take, because if they press a button, Manon gets some really nice damage because it will punish counter. It's important to think about what buttons they use. Wow. Went for a drive impact. He was successful with it earlier, but it looks like Dr. Danny Pham, he adjusted already. He already made the mental note that Strider wants to use drive impacts. Burnt out. How does he deal with being in burnout? He panics. He panics. Let's have a look at the end of that round again. There we go. Okay. So the Beta drive impact situation could have been worse because it looked like Dr. Danny Pham dropped the combo. Burns him out. Starts the mash jab. It's like, no, I will not block while I'm burnt out. Tries to jump out, gets anti-aired. And he goes for the invincible level 1 super. It's a gamble. It does not work out. He pressed a lot of buttons there when he after he got drive impacted. But he is sitting on 5 medals now. Ooh. There you go. It's the punish counter on the stand heavy. Heavy kick. How did he get that grab? After knockdowns both Idom and Strider, they immediately go for a drive rush. And it looks like Strider prefers to go for command grabs, whereas Idom likes to press buttons more. Like to press normals after drive rushing more. Got him. This could be a lot of damage. Let's go back in time. How did all of this happen? Strong whiff punish. Just from that point on. It's from this punish counter. This game, the momentum can change so fast. Just from this punish counter, Dr. Danny Pham just started to lose the whole game. And that just happens sometimes, particularly against Manon at 5 medals. Ben's meter. He has his critical art. Ends the match. No la 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 la. So there we just have an example of 2 different players playing 2 different matchups. Here's the other thing I need to mention. The rabbit hole can go very, very deep because this was just one game of Ada1 Strider versus Dr. Danny Pham. As you can see, here's another one. I encourage you, if you have the time, watch multiple of the same player, preferably against the same opponent as well. But then also, let's say, for example, you can find an Idom replay against a Zangief instead of Strider versus Gief, and see what kind of similarities that they have in their approach to the matchup. See where they're different. And that's how I approach high-level replay analysis. I hope you were able to learn many things here, but if there's one main takeaway I encourage you to take away from this video is to try to break things down. Because fighting games are complex. Many decisions get made every second. So just see how they approach their offense with a certain character, see how they navigate hard to deal with moves in a certain matchup, and also really try to figure out why. Why did they do this? And why did they press this button? Why did they just stand still? Or why did they continue their offense? Or why did they back off? All those sort of things. I think the why is also important, but mainly try to break it down into micro lessons instead of macro lessons, because macro lessons can be, it's hard to find like actionable steps of improvement and decision making if you look at things too general, too zoomed out. I prefer to look at things in more like minute moments. So thank you very much. If you like these sort of videos where I'm a bit more off the cuff, I still edit, of course. Just let me know. I want to make more videos. Sorry for not making as many as perhaps some other Street Fighter 6 content creators. Right now, I'm just too obsessed playing the game. But trust me, I'm loving it, and I want to share my love for this game. And hopefully, I'll see you here again or during one of my live streams. Consider subscribing. Consider leaving a comment. And I'll see you guys next time. My name's been Gil. See ya.